Testing, testing, testing. JB here, JB here. Monday, April 14th, 322. On this fine afternoon, talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P up about 1.5%. It almost some bounces, some gyrations here today, but surprisingly strong. If there was an opportunity for bears to come in and sell the news, sell the gap, today would be the day. So I don't, half of me thinks that maybe we're going to rally into the end of the week. The other half is still on edge, right? So um, there's so many headlines over the weekend, even today. The new, I wouldn't say the new, but we have a death cross on the S&P, so we're getting close. That's the next one. Small caps already had the death cross, and then you just have continued chatter around lack of interest from, I think it was Janet Yellen talking about the possible concerns of that U.S. debt, as well as the dollar is losing its allure from outside countries, right? I mean, which there's always seems like, especially when markets are in turmoil and things are volatile, it seems like it's like an easy target, and people can get away with saying things like that. I'm not saying getting away, but it just seems like uh, anyway. So I the other part too, and if you've ever been in some of these big sell-offs, I mean, there's been a lot of them over the years. With the COVID, even during the COVID sell-off, when we start to bounce, it's like you almost thought, okay, maybe this is just a small relief bounce before the next leg to the downside. 2000, same with the 2011, 2008, 2009, and then even 2008, 2009 was more longer and drawn out. But even that, even as the months passed, you still had kind of like PTSD around it, right? You just thought, okay, the markets can't keep going up. There's so much still negativity, and then they just continued to climb. So I don't know if we're in that environment yet where the market's going to rally. We're going to be back over 570 on the SPY. I put short term 560 maybe. So we'll see where we play out this week. Um, today also you have Trump coming out with comments around autos, right? I mean, here was the strong stance, 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, with the autos, and now it's maybe there's gonna be some exemptions, and some of the automakers need some time to work out the part side, which, I mean, that was obvious, right? I mean, that's why some of the issue with this whole situation to begin with was the time to negotiate and react. It was like they did the tariffs first and then we're reacting afterwards. Like that note that came out Friday night at the U.S. Trade Custom site that shows the exempted items, right? I mean, again, a lot of moving parts. I always try to keep a glass half full kind of optimism on some things. So hopefully markets can find some footing. Uh, Decent trading range here today. So 10 points with 544 on the SPY was the high, 544.28. The low was 533.86. So uh, 2.5% or so outside of it was 4, 7, 8% trading ranges last week. So that's a good sign. Also, the VIX under 30 for a second just a minute ago. So some good things to grasp at. But then on the flip side, there has to be some deals happening in the next couple of days. Otherwise, I think sellers are going to take control, and it seems like they were trying to take control today all the way to the noon hour. We found some support. Just hopefully that just we can get some chops, some consolidation, then some deals can happen, and the markets can find more footing. So again, the SPY, I was 537. I thought that would hold. It didn't. We got all the way down to 534. So we'll be watching that going forward as possible support tomorrow if there's some more weakness. Uh, and then 547 was the handle, the kind of the gap down from last Thursday. So that was kind of the resistance. We got up to 544 and change. So we'll be watching that as possible resistance tomorrow, and go from there. And then nice little spreadsheet. I forget where this is from, but this is the amount of times the S&P has had death crosses since 2000, no, 1981. Excuse me, the last 20 times. And then this is market performance: 1 week, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year after. So I always love historicals. It looks like 55% of the time the market's in the green 1 week later. Hopefully, who knows if we're going to notch that death cross with this move here in the afternoon. But that's kind of the overall market. Also, things to note: the amount of stocks trading over their 200-day moving average. Excuse me. Yes, 200-day moving average on the S&P that continues to move in the right direction. Nearly 33% of companies on the S&P are trading over their 200-day moving average. So trend is your friend. Trend's going in the right direction like that. And then here's the potential death cross without all my annotation. So it's funny. You have two indicators, two First, you have the momentum indicator, so you have a bullish reversal again setting up on the SPY, but then you also have the 50-day crossing under the 200-day moving average. So you have a death cross, but at the same time you have bullish crossover. So maybe they negate themselves, negate each other. We'll have to see how that plays out. All right, so that's kind of overall markets. So then individual names. I mean, nothing to say here or add here on GameStop. Still to the right. Who was it? Dennis Gartman used to say up and to the right, continues to go up and the right. So good sign there. Some volatility in the afternoon, all the way down to 25.80. Bounce quick, still back in here in the green. And take a look at MicroStrategy's doing well, it's up another 4% today. I would have thought GameStop would be up more. Bitcoin's up over 85. Still love this one. I'm not going to add any more strikes just yet. Unlike what happened on Thursday and Friday of last week, the premiums, I wouldn't say they evaporated, but like, good thing I closed my 29 strikes. Those are down 50% today, and those are down almost, well, more than 50% from where I exited on Friday. And then you start looking at the May strikes, and I locked some in on Friday just to cover some costs, and those have come down not too much, but down 14%. So, and that's with the stock being green. So it just kind of shows you the option market is kind of skewing a little bit with the implied volatility. But at some point, I'll look for some more strikes. I put on the watch list was possibly looking for June or July strikes. Uh, this morning I was looking maybe, it sounds crazy with the stock trading at $26, but 55s, maybe the 60s, but the 55s are 71 by a dollar on the June strikes. I don't want to sit there and fiddle with putting in a bid and then getting filled a little higher than I want. And if I have to get out, worrying about the spread. So I'll probably be patient there. Uh, but maybe June 55 or 60 strikes maybe is the next kind of area I'll look for, but I'll be patient there. So that's the GameStop story. Then we have First Solar. Great move today. I mean, was at highs about an hour ago, 133 it hit. Now it's down here, 131.97. Still up nearly 5% on the day. I was going to lock some of my calls in, some more of them just a little while ago. They were up near 300%, but actually 200%. But I'll just hold on to those because I want to get some later strikes. And I was looking at the 145s for next week. Those were $1. Let's see what those are now. But I'm going to wait and get out the rest of my 140s first, then roll them out to next week's. Let's see what those 145s are now. 113 by 129. But I like this story. It's like an under the radar. I think I use that analogy. It was the baby thrown out with the bathwater, kind of just thrown out just because the market's selling off. Where I think it should be the reverse. Like I think it has a great backstory, great tailwind. Even if tariffs get worked out with China, the fact that it's scaling out domestic production as well, I just like it here for more upside. So I'll hold on to the rest of my strikes into tomorrow. And if you look at the chart, it hasn't even recouped 3 days ago's losses. So I think there's still some room for upside. So that's First Solar. And then some other names I was looking at. Obviously at the open, I was looking at DELL strikes. I'm still looking at those. I mean, the stock was all the way up near over 88 at 10.15, and then it gave it back. But it's starting to claw its way back. Definitely watching that one. I don't know if it doesn't make sense to put too much risk on, so I'll just be patient there. And then Universal Display. That used to be one of my old favorites to play. I mean, it's a name that fundamentally sound, has like 800 million in cash. I think it trades. I think is it a $10 billion market cap? But it's been beaten up too with the rest of the names. I think it's a South Korean. That's where most of the plants are, and some in China with the tariff concerns. But they make a lot of the LED displays and panel displays and things like that. Surprised it's not rallying more. I mean, it is up 4%, but I mean, similar to some of these other names, it's not anywhere near what it did last Wednesday, so it's still off those highs. The only issue with this, we have option expiration is this week, which is good on the monthly strikes, but the spreads, it has only 120 calls, 125, so there's no dollar increments, so it makes it tough to find a decent strike. I was looking at the 120s, but similarly, it's tough because the spreads are wide. Even if I got in, it'd be tough to get out. So definitely a name I'll continue to watch. But back in the day when I used to trade, it had a heck of a lot more volume on the option side. So hopefully, maybe that changes soon. And then obviously other names here. Wayfair, which it was actually looking like it was going to continue to melt off the noon hour lows. Still looking to get some more strikes there. That's in the green here, but Deckers is struggling today. So I don't know if Deck is going to need a deal between China and the U.S. to get going finally. But still watching that one. I keep talking about adding some more strikes again for Restoration Hardware. That one's struggling. It's flat today. You would think with the rest of the market, at least be solidly in the green, especially where it's sold off from. I think that's it. Other names I was looking at. So you had that the Pfizer's dropping its obesity drug. I don't know if I talked on the rant this morning or on the watch. I don't think I put it on the watch list, but you saw Viking spiking on the news. Obviously, when a competitor, especially of Pfizer's credentials, right? It's might. It has a lot of dollars behind it, where it could probably, if it gets a drug, push it to market quicker than VKTX can. So you saw that was up over 20%. It's giving back the gains, and GPCR. So GPCR was one of my top 5 stocks. Was it last year? I think it was last year. Obviously, it's substantially down from where it was last year. It was in the 50s. Here it is, 1881. So I don't know if this is getting bid up because folks think that maybe Pfizer is going to come and do an acquisition. So I hate playing these GLP-1 names have been so finicky as of late. So it's tough for me to even wrap my head around. Like I look at VKTX, I'm like, one day someone's going to gobble them up. There's going to be news that, yeah, that's my thought process behind it. But obviously that hasn't panned out just yet. But same with GPCR, it's another name. I mean, here it is, substantially off its highs, and they were talking about buyout possibilities last year at substantially higher prices. Here it is at $18. My old favorite Turn, which is gotten destroyed. So at some point, maybe I'll look to some of these bio names. But for now, it just doesn't make sense for me to put too much risk on just yet until I feel a little more confident on either direction. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.